Okay, so the recording has started. Okay, so in this session, we'll be learning about how to create API calls from our Android application. So in order to create the API calls, first of all, we'll have to learn how API calls are made from server to server. Like what happens when we type or when we type a website in our browser and just hit enter. So what happens behind the scenes? First of all, we'll learn it, understand it, that how it works, and then we'll carry out the same procedure from our application. Okay, we'll be using a library to create API calls to the backend server from where we are going to fetch the data. Okay, so for this, I'll ask you to open your Chrome browser, and we'll be taking a hands-on sort of tutorial or whatever you can say experience of it. Okay, so open your browser like I have opened it. Hey, can you see my screen? Can anyone just confirm if they are able to see my screen?
Yes, Bhaiya, it's visible.
Okay, okay. Fine. If you have opened your browser, then you should go to Flipkart. Okay, we'll be opening Flipkart website. Okay, so open the Flipkart website, and here we'll be seeing that how API calls are made. Okay, so now we'll open the developer console in the Chrome. So how it opens is by using combo of Control Shift and I button. Okay, doing this will open the control panel. Okay, no control paneling. Dev console. Okay, or either you may right click and select this option, inspect. Anywhere on the page you can right click and select this option, inspect. Okay, or and then come to this network section. Okay, has everyone opened the Flipkart website in their browser? And then we'll proceed. Let me know if you have done it. Hello, have you all opened the website? Can anyone confirm?
Yes, bhai.
Okay, okay.
Yes, we.
Yeah, so you have opened the console as well. To open the console, you'll have to use this keystrokes control plus shift plus I. I have just written it in the chat. Okay, and open the console. Okay, and on opening the console, switch to this network tab here. Okay, so let me know if you will have to follow each step. You will have to be along with me. Okay, if you get back or lag a step, then please let me know. We'll be following along it. Okay, if you miss anything, that then you won't be able to cover up. So if there occurs any incident like this, then let me know. I'll wait for a while and then we'll catch it up and take you with us. Okay, so have you opened this network section, network tab, or in the dev console? If you have opened, then just reload the page. And as you reload the page, you will see that these number of API calls are created. Okay. And here you can see the very first call is this flipkart.com. Okay. First let's inspect it. Okay. Here you can see that a call is made to flipkart.com. Okay. And this is status. So what is status is when I wrote flipkart.com and hit enter on my laptop, then what happened that my laptop is a client, okay, or the browser is the client. So when I hit this enter button, so this client pings the backend server from where we are going to bring the response. Okay, so it pings the server and the server returns with a code. Okay, so this is the okay code. Like if we try to make a communication to the server and the expected communication occurred, then server returns us the code 200. 200 means okay, the communication took place as it was expected. So this is what status code is. Okay, status codes are of many types. Like you might have seen 404 and 403, 503. Okay, so 404 is for something which is not found. 403 is which you try to access a page whose access is limited to some specific person only. to few people only or a group of people. Okay, so have you opened this? Like, are you in the network tab and reloaded the page and have selected this API call? Are you here? Can anyone confirm?
Yes, Bhaiya.
Okay, so here you will see what has happened. So in the header section, you will just click this. Okay, so this is the first API call. You will click anywhere on it. So I'll click it here. As soon as you click it, you will see this section. Okay, so this is the analysis that how this API call took place. So this is the response that we got from the backend server. So this is the request URL. So request URL means the website, the backend where we tried to send a request. Okay, and when I use this method, when I put this website in the browser and hit enter, so it tries to fetch the data. So whenever we are fetching data from the backend, so the call that is used, that method which is used is known as get method. So there is a server. To fetch data from a server, I'll have to use get method. To write a new data into the server, I'll have to use post method, and to update the data, I'll have to use put method, and to delete the data from the server, I'll have to use the delete method. Okay, so there are a few request methods in the server which we use. So here I used a get method to bring the response from the server. So here we got response from the server. So this is the remote address, and so what is the remote address? So you can see that this is an IP address, and this is a specific port where the call pinged the server. Okay, so and here if we come, so we can see this is the response which we got from the server. So this is nothing much which you need to know about it. So it is not something more specific. And we'll see how post works. Okay, so this was an example of get method. So what the get method does is it fetches data from the internet, to be precise, from the backend server. So, but when we try to log in, we will be writing our data. Like when we will go to login, like see if I go to login in GitLab. Okay, when I log in GitLab, I'll have to put my credentials in order to log in. So in that scenario, I'll be writing my contents in their backend. Okay, so when I'll write their contents in their backend to check if my ID exists there or not, I'll be using a post method. Okay, so this happens unbeknownst of us, and the browser and API calls handle it on their own. Okay, so come to GitLab and we'll see how post works. Okay, post method. So here you saw how get works. Okay, so get is used for fetching data from the internet. I have put the link of GitLab login in the chat. Okay, you can copy and paste it in the browser. So when you'll paste it, you'll see it like this. Okay, so and again we'll open our dev console, and in order to see updates in our console, we'll be refreshing the page. Okay, so I'll refresh the page. I'll see the API calls that are being made to the server. Okay, so these are the calls that are made to the server. 302 is that it checks that this document or this endpoint exists or not. Endpoint is the specific method of the website or the backend which we are trying to access. Okay, so here we will come to this. So here again it used a get method. Okay, so is everyone on the GitLab login page and open the dev console? If it is so, then we will try logging in. So let me write any random. So I'll write hello friends in username. Okay, and I'll write some random password, and I'll try signing in and then see how these API calls change. I'll make it smaller and then sign in. Okay. So here I saw invalid login on password. So, but how would I know it from the dev console? So again, select this. So And this time you can see that here it used the post method. Why it used the post method? Because we tried writing our credentials, because it took our credentials and tried matching it from the backend. Okay, so in this call, we sent our credentials, okay, and then tried matching if they exist in their database or not. Since I typed random password and random username, and definitely they don't exist in their database, so it returned me an error. Okay, so but still here the status code is 200. Can anyone answer why here status code is 200? Although it is shows here that it is invalid login or password, here we can see status code 200. Can anyone think? Would anyone like to answer? Okay, I'll answer it on my own. Okay, the status code is the status code tells us if the communication to the server is made or not. Okay, if the communication is made to the server which we are trying to access, then it returns 200. Okay, as we can see here that we got a response from the server. Okay, it is a it says that you have used wrong credentials. Okay, but it does not mean that we have not communicated with the server. If we hadn't communicated with the server, then server won't never have sent us this response. Okay, so this is why the status code is 200. And let's see. Yeah, we can see that what credentials we sent in when we made our post request. Okay, so for that you will have to come down, and yeah, here you can see that yeah, we created a post method, and this was the endpoint path. Follow this highlighted area. This path, this was HTTPS scheme. HTTPS scheme is there, like we were using HTTPS protocol to access their server. Okay, and this is not that much useful. Yeah, and here we can see what I used in password and login. Okay, so this is the data. Yeah, this is the data which it took in the form. Okay, form is a sort of like form. A form is something that is used to store data. It is a very standard way of storing data and sending it to the server. So this is how it is stored it. Okay, so it's stored in the form of friends. So UTF-8 is a type of encoding. Authenticity token is granted when you log into the server, when you log into some system or try logging in. Okay, it is a kind of a security check, like you have entered or you have tried to enter in a highly secure place, so it gives you some token. Okay, okay, so it means that here it is token. You can access this system only if you have this token. Otherwise, you cannot. If you don't have token, then you won't be able to make calls there. Okay, so this is the function of authenticity token, and this is the login. Okay, and the login, this is the username, and this is the password that I typed, and this is the remember me zero. So I believe that they are using remember me as a boolean. Since I unchecked it, so it was zero. If I'll check it, then it will be one. Okay, so let's see it again. It should be high there. I will write. Okay, that is the wrong spelling. I'll type random stuff, and then again login. Again calls will be made. I'll open the very first call. Here again it is a post method 200. I'll scroll down. So yeah, here I can see this. So here I check marked the remember me option. So here it is one. Okay, and there is some random password and login. So this is the source, and the source it doesn't look very beautiful. Okay, so in the past form it looks cool and legible. And one more thing that the backend server returns us responses in a specific language. Like that specific language is known as JSON, or this JSON is JavaScript object annotation. JSON is in no sense related to JavaScript or JS. Okay, so JSON is a sort of representing elements and key value pairs in a more beautiful and clean way. Okay, so this is all about it. Yeah, so now you know how calls are made to the server and what takes place behind the scenes. Okay, so did you follow along? And now we will come to our code lab. Okay, so you should come to this. Like this is in the second part. Yeah, in the study jams, you will go to study jams. Okay, This is, and here we'll take the prior programming experience. We'll start this course, and in the unit 2, we'll go to unit 2, and yeah, and select this connect to internet. When you'll connect, see this, when you'll click it, connect to internet, you will land here, which is same as this, which I have already opened it. Yeah. So we'll come here and open these code labs. So this code lab can be open from here and here. Okay. So if you have any doubt in what I have told you till now in backend call or the methods, so you can ask me. Yeah. Is there anyone?
Ask any doubts if you have,
Yeah.
like regarding clients and backends, etc. Because you won't get the things that will be taught after this if you don't understand backend service, API service properly. Do you have any doubts?
Okay, cool. Then let's move ahead. So yeah, we'll come to this code lab. Yeah, here it is. Getting data from internet, and yeah, it is same as another one is a bit different. It is displaying images. Yeah, so to retrieve data from the internet, as it is very similar to the way in which we do in the browser. In browser, we create API calls via writing here in its search bar, and in the application we use a library which is known as Retrofit. Okay, so what is Retrofit? Retrofit is a HTTP library which is used for making internet calls to the backend from our Android application. Okay, so if we want to make any kind of backend calls or use internet in our application, we'll be using Retrofit straight away. Okay, so Retrofit everyone uses. Yeah, Retrofit is very popular and everyone uses it. So what happens that I told you that we send some data to the backend and then we get a response from backend in the form of JSON. So we get data from internet in the form of JSON data, or what we can say response from backend in the form of JSON. So JSON is a different language, but in Android we work in Java and Kotlin, Java or Kotlin. Okay, but here we are basically Kotlin based. So what happens that we use a library. We use one more library which is known as Moshi or JSON converter. Okay, we also use JSON or Moshi. Mm, JSON is more popular than Moshi. Okay, but here we will be using Moshi. So what happens is that what they do is that they convert the backend responses into Java. Like we got a response in the form of JSON, it translates it into Java and then processes it in our application. And similarly, the data is also sent in the form of JSON as well. So it changes our Java or Kotlin objects to JSON objects. So it does the work of both serializing and deserializing. Deserializing means to convert JSON to Java objects and Kotlin to JSON objects, vice versa. Okay, so and Kotlin is indeed in its core is Java. Okay, we use Kotlin because it is more cleaner language, and that's it. It provides some extensions over Java. That is why we use Kotlin. But Kotlin in its core is Java. Okay, so there is no much big difference between Java and Kotlin, but Kotlin is cleaner. That's why we prefer it. So now we know that in order to make calls to the backend, we send it data, and data is sent in the form of JSON requests. Okay, we make a request through the server, and server sends us a response. So request and response both are in the form of JSON. Okay, but in Android we use Java or Kotlin. So we use a library which is used for serializing and deserializing. What does it mean? It means to convert Java objects to JSON and JSON to Java or Kotlin. Okay, they do the same work. Like it does that both ways, vice versa, A to B and B to A. So we'll use it as well. Yeah. So for this code lab, we need to know a few things which we haven't covered. A view model. So view model is what? View model is, yeah. Yesterday we were talking about the architecture. So what? Yesterday we talked about the MVVM architecture, but we didn't go in its depth. So what MVVM is, that the logic of MVVM is to make the code base cleaner and cleaner. Like we in an application, we shows user the UI, the interface. So and we perform some logical reasoning, logical code, and we make calls to the internet. Okay, so this is what we do. So the all the UI stuff we keep inside the views. So this is the V, and models, and the models we put a little bit of UI, but not so much. And in the view models, we put the entire logic, like how different fragments are connected or how different activities are connected. So we write this kind of logic in view models, and over it comes a repository. Repository is used for fetching data from the internet and caching that data. Caching means to store data in the local device. Okay. So this is the MVVM architecture. What view model does is that we store our logical code, like every logical stuff we want to use in our application, like that I use multiple times that stop and start server button. Like as I click that button, from the start server changes to stop server, like it text changes dynamically and its color changes dynamically from green to red, and start server to stop server. So this logic we will be processing in and doing inside the view model. And in the view and models, we'll be writing the code which is used for displaying the UI. Okay. So this is pretty much with the MVVM. This is a quite higher level view of what MVVM is. Okay. So you need to go in a bit depth if you are concerned about GSOC and Android. So you will have to need some more intrinsic knowledge of this logic and concept, and then you will be able to catch up and work on it. So, but for this code lab, the information which I provide you would help you much. Okay, you won't be facing any trouble. So this was about the view model. So, and here comes live data. So what live data is? Live data is a way of observing the data changes in our application, like observing the state. Like if we have a multiple, screens, like screens by screens, I mean fragments. Whenever I say screen, a screen means a fragment. So when I have multiple fragments and I want to transfer data in it, like data in screen one depends on the data on screen two. Like I'll be shown the home screen only if I am logged in. Okay, and as soon as I log out or click the logout button, so the home screen would vanish and I'll be sent back to sent back to login page. Okay, so this state is observed by the live data. Like all the dynamic variables are observed by live data. And how can we achieve this in our example? Like I said, that home screen would be shown to us in the home screen of the application would be shown to us only if we are logged in. And how will we save logged in state? We will save it as the live data, and it would be a boolean. Okay, 0 or 1 I will say, or we can use it as true or false. So if you are logged in, then it would be true, and if you are not, then it would be false. So this is a way of communicating between the activities and the screens. So if we want to set the data change from 1, then it will change everywhere where we are using it. Okay. And recycler view is a way of displaying a list of items. Have Has anyone of you used scroll view to display a list of scrollable items? Hmm? Okay. Okay. So you don't have used scroll view. So, but recycler view is easy. I'll show you. Material.io, and here we'll see recycler. Material.io is a very nice website where we can learn about so many UI stuff. Okay, I'll see if I can find recycler where I'm searching for the very first time. I usually search it on where Android web official website. Yeah, I opened in the new page. Let us see. I'm just showing it to so that you can visualize it. Mm, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Here you can see that this all the things that you can see here that are a sort of list items here. Package shipped brunch this weekend, bonjour from and Brazil trip. They all are the elements of a recycler view. Like you can assume the n number of partitions between them. Like here are 3 to 5. There are 5 items displayed, so you can assume that there are 4 partitions: 1, 2, 3, and 4. So there are 4 partitions. So there are 4 partitions and 5 elements in the recycler view. So what recycler view is does that is as soon as I scroll it, like as soon as I scroll this box would go up and come here from down. Okay, so it won't be like in a scrollable view. We use an infinite list, like it spans from the very top to the very bottom. Like if I'll scroll it, so it will go from up. But recycler view does that. It an if a box is here, by a box I mean that a view, text view or a text input layout where we input some data or some view. So if a view is here and I swipe up, then instead of going far beyond the screen or the visualized state, it comes back down here. Okay, so in this way we never consume the memory, which never consume the extra memory which isn't required. Like if we will use an infinite scroll list, then first of all it will consume a lot of memory and we'll have to assign views to each of them. But in recycler view, we just use up the scrolled up state and put it down here. We don't have to do this, it happens automatically. But this is what recycler view is. Okay, so I'll see if they have some better. No, I don't have it here. So this was about recycler view. I'm just searching if we can get some good resources to understand. Yeah, here you can see there's list item. There are 3 list items, and as soon as I'll scroll it, instead of going up, this list item will come back here, and the second number will come here at the first number. Like if I scroll up the first number would come down here, okay, and the second one will go to here, and the third will go to up. This is how it works. Yeah, this you can see it. I'll add its link in the chat so that you can check it when you have time. Material.io is a nice website in case you want to learn UI designing, not UI designing, or to learn material design guidelines. These are the official UI guidelines by Google. Okay, many people prefer it and they also look good. So this was about the recycler view. I'll close it here. We don't need GitLab. Okay, where were we? Yeah, we were here. So we learned about view model, live data, and recycler view. So what a view model is? View model is a class. Okay, view model is a class in which we handle all the logical logical stuff of our application. In live data is a sort of observing the changes, observing the dynamic changes in the screens and the multiple classes which we have. And cycle view is nothing but a way of displaying the items in a list so that they do not consume so much memory. Okay, so this is what we need to know about. And yeah, we need to know about factory or yeah, we need to know about factory also. So the factory is what? Okay, let's consider factory on a very abstract level. What factory is? A factory does to create an instances of the same thing. Like if we go to some car factory, it just keeps on producing cars. Okay, it keeps on producing multiple cars. But the special thing about them is that they all are different. Not they aren't visually different, but they have their own IDs. Okay, like if we go and buy a car, then each car has its ID. Okay, each car has its ID. So in order to claim its warranty or guarantee, whatever they offer, you have to provide its ID. So what the special thing about factory is that it provides the same objects but with different IDs. So the objects like these are known as the instances. So it creates multiple instances. So how instances differ? Instances differ only in their ID. Okay, the rest they are 100% same. They differ only in their ID, and ID is sort of a role number what you can think of on a very higher level. Okay, yeah. So this was about factory. So what a view model provider factory means? So view model provider means something that provides view model. So and we name it as view model provider factory. So it means that a factory that creates view models. So why we use a factory pattern? Because factories are much more supported and recommended software development patterns. Okay, it is one of the solid principles. Now, solid principle is for the software design principle. Okay, we don't need to go in that much depth. Okay, yeah. So we learned this. What are REST web services? Okay, REST it means representational state transfer. Okay, so there are two types of APIs: REST APIs and GraphQL APIs. So REST APIs are used when we don't want to perform complex operations, and we use GraphQL API when we want to perform complex operations like in GitLab or GitHub, we use REST API. Yeah, they have implemented REST API, but in Facebook, I saw that they are using GraphQL. Yeah, they are using GraphQL. Why? Because they have to manage a lot of data. Like it searches about your friends of friends, and then friends of friends of friends. Like it expands like a network. Okay, three, and then each tree inside that tree. Okay, so when you have to parse unnested data in the back end, so you use GraphQL API. Yeah. So this is what, and Retrofit, I told you that Retrofit is a library which we use to create backend calls from our Android application. Okay. This is what Retrofit does. And what is Moshi? Moshi is a serializing and deserializing library. What it does that it changes Java Kotlin objects to JSON objects and vice versa. Kotlin to JSON objects and Kotlin Java objects to JSON objects. Okay, it does this. Why does it do so? Because the responses and requests sent and received from the server are in the form of JSON only. So we need to convert our data, which we are going to send to our web server in the JSON format. And when we receive data in JSON format, we change it to Java or Kotlin so that we can process it accordingly inside our application. Okay, so this was about which we need. Okay, so what we'll do, we'll just use a web API. So this is what we are going to do in this code lab. Like you will be given a backend API. Okay, you will be having an API. You will be making calls from your application and fetching images of the land on Mars from your application. Okay, using internet. So first, in this code lab, we won't be fetching images. We'll be just checking how many queries are being made. So when we want to use a library, so yesterday I told that when we want to use a library, first of all, we have to declare it in the Gradle file. Okay, so we'll go in Gradle file and add the dependency. So we already have the dependency when you will clone the project. Okay, let's see if they have provided us the link to clone. No, it isn't here. It should be ahead. Yeah, here it is. Step 1. Okay, so it is, I think, no, it is on GitHub. Yeah, we'll have to clone it from here. Yeah, we'll have to clone it from here, and in the Gradle file, we can see that they are using the dependency. So where it would be? It would be in app level Gradle file. Yeah, here you are using fragment. Here you are using view model lifecycle. Okay. Yeah, I think that is a to do to add the retrofit dependency. Yeah, that's why I think they have linked a retrofit here. Okay. So this is how we are going to create calls. This is a flowchart. I think it is a text size so that you can see it. Yeah. Okay. So this is the overview of the application, a flowchart to tell how the application works. So we have an overview fragment that will initially be blank. So in the overview fragment, we have an observer. What an observer does, then observer observes the live data, the changes in live data. Okay, and where it is done in the overview view model. And overview model is, and this view model is connected to the retrofit service. Yeah, we usually have repository here, but since we are not using caching, what caching is? Caching is to store data in your application. We are using retrofit only. We have here only, yeah, web API service only. But but when we have, most of the times we have repository when we are using the caching service. So here we have fragment. Fragment is connected to view model, and view model is connected to the repository. And this fragment is connected to the details fragment. And here again we have observer, which observes the changes in the live data, which is in details view model. Okay, so what happens that whenever this live data changes, then the observer is triggered, and the observer changes the UI in the observer overview fragment accordingly. Okay, so what happens is that whenever I create a call in the, when I click a button here in the overview fragment, the observer will send a live data here in the overview model that, yeah, a request that a button is clicked. Okay, so a button is clicked is here. I, in the overview fragment, I have written the code. They have written the code that what to do when this button is clicked. So in, when what to do in the button is clicked, they have written a method to count the number of API calls made to the server. So that method would have been defined here. So in the overview view model, in the view model, I told you that we have written all the logic. So here we have written how that request is going to be processed. So when we are going to process an internet request, we'll write some code how to process it, how to change it, and then send it to the web API service. And then web API service will connect it to the backend. It will ping the backend server, and then the response will be coming here back to the view model, and then back from view model to here. As live data changes, the observer would change here. Okay, and accordingly, the details segment observer would also be triggered and change the UI here. Okay, so this is pretty much about it. So you can clone it from here. Yeah, can download it from here or clone it. There will be have two options. Yeah, code and, yeah, downloads it. You can click it and download it. So do you have any doubt? You can ask me. Ask. Hey, do you have any doubt? If you have any doubt, you can definitely ask. Okay. So have you followed along till we don't have too much here in this session. Like we have 20-30 minutes, and then we will close it. Okay. It's getting boring. So this is, you will download the project, and yeah, here they are telling you that what function does what. Okay, so here it is, and yeah, here you will be connecting a retrofit service. Yeah, here they have written that you will be implementing it. Like I told you that whenever we want to use a library, we will be adding that particular dependency in our Gradle file. So we add it in the Gradle file, very similar to what they had there. Yeah, like here they have written for the view model, we have this implementation and this stuff. And for adding retrofit, we'll be writing that exact same thing here. Okay, it would look like, yeah, it would look like this. Implementation, it works like this implementation, and this is usually the URL where it isn't a URL, it is a URI. Okay, it is a URI where they have specified the where they have published their library, and this specifies the version of the library which you are going to use. So what retrofit does, yeah, I'll clarify a very one thing here, that retrofit works in JSON responses only. Okay, it processes only JSON queries, and I have told you that, we in Android use Kotlin and Java. Okay, so we need to convert Kotlin Java object to JSON and JSON to Java Kotlin. Okay, so for that we will be using a serializing and deserializing library, so which is known as converter. Okay, scalar converter. So we will add it, and yeah, this is base URL. What is base URL? Base URL is a website, is a backend or a API where we are going to create API calls. Like if I add it here, we can see, yeah, I can see a response that this is a backend server for Mars Air State app. Yeah, you can see it here. Okay, this is a response when I got, when I put it here. When I ping the server, this is the response when I get. They have added a dummy URL here just to check if the API works. Yeah, let's see, where are we? Yeah, here. Okay, so this is how we create Retrofit. Okay, so in order to use Retrofit, we have to initialize it. Okay, how we initialize it? So, okay, when you add dependencies, you add them in the Gradle file and then click the sync button. I think I'll see if they've added sync button somewhere else. No, they haven't shown it. No worries. Yeah, I told you that it is a sort of elephant type icon which looks like an elephant. So when you click that elephant icon, it just searches for the dependencies which we are going to use in our application and downloads them so that we can use them in the application. Okay, so yeah, that will be, we will be able to use it when we hit the sync button after adding the dependencies. Without clicking the sync button, we won't be able to use this method. It would look red in Studio. Okay. So this is how we initialize Retrofit. Private means to that we want to limit this variable to this particular class only. Variable means that this value val means that I don't want to modify this data type, this variable that I am going to create here. Like if it had been a var, I would have been able to change it. But this variable now, when I use val, this val means creating a read-only variable. It would be changed only once and for the very first and the last time, and then you can never change it. Okay, so I don't want to change our web service because it will create a lot of troubles. Like we'll be using multiple services. Okay, so we don't want to use it. We want to make a single point of entry and single point of exit of our requests and responses to the backend server. That's why we create a single service and use it everywhere. Okay, this is the logic of singleton. So this is how we create a retrofit. This is created retrofit, and inside this we create a converter factory. This is used to change serialize, deserialize, scalar converter. Base URL. Base URL is used to specify the website or the API where you are going to create calls. So here you can write base URL. We have declared it as a string here. Okay, and then finally we call build on it. So we'll all these, like we'll call a builder and the converter factory, base URL, and then we'll call build. So with this, our retrofit would be ready to use. Okay, so this is the backend. Okay, but I want to use it specific endpoints. Like in this, we want to fetch internet. We want to fetch images from the internet. Okay, so we have to. So in that case, we'll have to access a specific endpoint. What a specific endpoint is? A specific endpoint is about the different locations. Like if I see, whenever this URL changes, yeah, like here we have this URL written here. Okay, as soon as I change this, as soon as I click on pull request, the endpoint will change. I will see here the pulls written. Okay, so if I click on issues here, this will change to issues. What is happening? The base URL is always same. This is the base URL. This is always same. What is changing is this endpoint. Okay, everything I'll try accessing inside this repository, this base URL will always remain same, will always be same, and this endpoint will always be changing. Like if I go to inside, okay, here still I can see here only endpoint is changed because this base URL is still starter app. If I change the dependency graph, if I go to a dependency graph, I can see endpoint is changed to network, inside network. This we have access network here, inside we are in dependencies. So what I'm trying to tell you that is that when we try to explore different features available on the website or the backend, we usually end up changing endpoints. Okay, what an endpoint is, I think you would have good amount of knowledge or occasional knowledge by this. Okay, like if I'll change it here, then it would change. Okay, you are saying that this is an endpoint. Okay, a dynamically changing query, not exactly a query, but a parameter you can say. Yeah, so here we will assert that which specific property we want to, which specific endpoint we want to access. Like we have this, and what the endpoint is, it is real estate. Okay, so I'll edit the base URL here, and I will type real estate. So I'll be able to see the response. Okay, so this is the response. It is too dense. In order to see it correctly, we'll have to use a JSON beautifier. Yeah, okay. I'll show you in a JSON beautifier. So here you can see that this is a response returned from the backend. So it is a very raw response. Like here we can see price, ID, type, by image source. Image source is a URL in itself. Okay, it is taking somewhat long to load. So here you saw that the data is written in the form of JSON objects, and we want to change these JSON objects into Java Kotlin object. Taking too long. Specifically coming here, okay. Here you can see that this is a very messed up response and this is a very clean response. So this is an object. This is a JSON object, okay. And from C++ knowledge, we know that these square brackets are used to show that we are declaring an array. Okay, so we have retrieved responses in the form of an array, and we would be having a square bracket here as well. It is not visible due to the poor UI. Okay, so let us inspect. Okay, so array has the same kinds of element. Okay, so all the elements should be having same type of properties. Okay, so JSON is like a key value language. Okay, so here is the key. Key means to a parameter and its value. Like in XML, we saw that we have an attribute and its value. So here is the parameter. Here is an attribute price. So we have price and integer. Okay. So what an ID is? ID is again an integer. Okay. Yeah. Here we are using. Yeah, we use inverted commas to represent keys in JSON. Okay. By using inverted commas in keys does not mean that this key is going to be a string. Okay. So this is a way of representing parameters in JSON. Okay. So this key, the key price has value which is an integer. Okay. And again, the key ID has a value which is a string. The key type is a string format also response. And here we have an image source, like where the image is hosted. So if I'll copy this URL and post it, not post it, and paste it in here, I'll be able to see some image. Yeah, this is the image. Okay. So this is where the image is hosted. You can see the backend, the URL here as well, and I might not be able to access other endpoints as well, that as it seems to be different. It should be a 404. Yeah, it is a 404. Like you can see that the communication, yeah, in the initial start of the session, we takes place. It we try to access or something on the back end which does not exist. Okay, but the endpoint is still of their base URL. This endpoint exists in their base URL. That's why they are showing us 404. Okay, it still means that a communication occurred, but the resource we tried finding here did not could not be found. Okay, so this is how JSON is. So JSON is nothing but a key value language. Like this is a key, this is a language. You can see we describe a key here, and then a semicolon, and then its value, and then a comma, and then followed by the same pattern. It is repeated again and again. Same pattern is repeated multiple times. Okay, so this is how it looks. Yeah. So we create a single object and use it everywhere in our application. So does anyone of you have any doubt? You can ask me. No one wants to ask anything? You can ask. There are very less people. I'll be able to handle your doubts very easily and in very detailed format. Anything you want to know about JSON, retrofit, the serializing, deserializing, backend calls? Like this will be the last session, and we know that NJEC isn't taking sessions. Okay, NJEC dev isn't taking any sessions of neither Git or nor their web development or nor their Android sessions are being conducted. Okay, I am in NJEC as well, but they are not taking any sessions because people there are too much involved in NJEC and they don't in NVOC and they don't have time. Okay. So yeah, we'll be conducting sessions in NJEC as well, but that is not sure as of now. Or we have
भैया
NVOC. Yeah.
भैया जो आप लोग ने करवाया मैंने वो सब कर रखा ऑलरेडी तो
Okay. Yeah, I'm
मैंने
waiting
वो
for others. I'm waiting for others if they have any doubt. Okay. If you have
और
done it for
मुझे एक चीज में डाउट है कि जो रेस्पायरिटी का रिकॉर्ड होता है वो कैसे होता है
क्या repositories है?
तो
No, type it in the chat.
उसको
Just
एक
type
बार
it in the
एक्सप्लेन
chat.
कर दीजिए द लास्ट लाइन
Where in the last line? If you can type in the chat, it will be
लास्ट
easier.
लाइन एक बार एक्सप्लेन कर दीजिए मैं थोड़ा डाउट है कि वो आपने कैसे किया है
Okay, the last part of the URL is something which we call backend. It is something which we call an endpoint. Okay, so this is a base URL which always remains same. Okay, like if I'll see what, yeah, here, here we had this. Here, this is our base URL. Okay, so something which remains static in browsing the same part of the website. Okay, something which remains static. Okay, this would be always remain static, the highlighted part. Okay. Yeah, when I'll browse in this repository, only this endpoint would be get changed. Yeah, this full section would be changed. Like if I click on security, this would be changed. So here what is happening that this endpoint is being changed. We are again and again changing endpoint on the website. We are on the same page. Okay, so this was about it. So yeah, we create an object, and in the very first session or the second session, I remember I told you about objects. Objects are a single time use of are created only once, and we can use them as many times as we want because they possess the same first time created instance. Like they don't have different instance. It is a single instance which you want to use again and again. So yeah, this is easy, and we have here the function which calls the API, and we when we make a call to the backend, we either get a failure or on response. If we get a response, so we downwards implement. If we get a 200 response, then what we'll do? Then we'll show a message that images successfully fetched and something like that. Or if we fail to get that response, then we accordingly change the message as well. So this is how we do. Yeah. So till now using the internet, we haven't specified the application. We haven't specified the permission to use internet. So if we'll click that button, if we'll trigger a method that uses internet call, so the application would crash. So that scenario, you will have to add that permission in your manifest file. In manifest file, we add the permission. So yeah, this is just a raw response being received here. Okay, because we haven't added some serialization serializing and deserializing library to convert JSON objects to Java Kotlin objects. So here we can see the raw JSON object, raw JSON response, which we saw here. And yeah, so we'll add Moshi, the translating library, serializing and deserializing, we would be able to convert JSON to Java and Java to JSON. So yeah, here we have, okay, yeah, we'll design. Let me open that beauty flag where it is. Yeah. I'll copy it and paste it here. So now we are going to create methods in which we will be showing the data accordingly. So we want to, so we'll be fetching an image in it. What we'll be doing in this application is that we'll be fetching image from the backend. We will be showing its price, and yeah, we'll be doing pretty much what we get from the server. Okay, we get price. We don't want to show the ID of the image or the ID of image or the land is. We don't want to know its ID of the land. Okay, we want to check if it can be bought or cannot be bought. Okay, and we want to show the image of the land as well. Okay, so these are the useful parameters that we'll be using. We don't need ID. I mean that we don't need to display ID in the application. Like we don't want to display ID to the user. Let's see, this is the ID of this land. That would be pointless. Okay, so we will be mocking our responses. Okay, so like we will be receiving responses in this JSON format only. So we'll be matching our Kotlin classes with this. So we'll create so this is a response. This is an image response or land response, we can say. So what a land consists of, if I create an object, create a data type with land. So what would be its parameters? It would contain price, ID, type, and image source. Okay, and we would be having their values as well. So in Kotlin, to create data structures, we use data classes. Like in C, if you want to get custom data structures, we use struct, and in Kotlin, we use data class. So we'll use the same parameters that we can see here in this JSON response. We can see price, ID, type, image, and type source, type and image source. So price, we can see an int where we have price or double. Okay, yeah, we should, yeah, land on Mars is quite expensive, so that's why they are using double. Okay, so we can use double here. So we are using here double, and ID is here string, so we can use ID string. We'll be using the same data type which we are getting from here. Okay, so yeah, type is also a string format, so we'll be using type again as string, and image source is also a string. We can see anything inside double inverted comma is a string, so image is again a string. So this is pretty much the response we have mocked from the server. So yeah, we do this, and this add JSON means that we want to match this exact key. Okay, look, when I'll get a response from the server, it would try to match these classes, these parameters to these. Like it will match small price to this small price. This is case sensitive now. Yeah, this is case sensitive. So it will match this price to this price. It will match this ID to this ID. If I use capital ID here and from server we are getting small ID, so it won't work. Okay, it would just show error, or it might not show error, but it won't be visible in the application. So we have to use the same type. But if you want to use the custom, like here we are using image underscore source. Yeah, here again we are using image underscore source, but if we can change it, like we can change it to image source URL. Like we can use it as any custom name, but if you want to use a custom name, then we'll have to use this annotation. What this means, add JSON. Add JSON means when you receive the response from the server in the form of JSON, then match this parameter, or variable. So what this variable name is, this image source URL. Then try matching this image source URL, which is a type of string, to the image source attribute which you are getting from this. Okay. So from backend we are getting image source img underscore src, but here we have in camel case. Okay, we won't have needed this annotation if we were using directly the exactly the name which we are getting from the server. Okay, but since here we are using the custom name, so we'll have to use this annotation. So I explain this annotation again. So what it means that in the JSON which we are getting from the server, match a data type whose name is image source URL, which we have named locally in our application, this, which is a type of a string, to the attribute whose name is img underscore src in the JSON. So img underscore src in the JSON is here. Like this is for only single object. Like you may think that we are getting so many IDs, like we are getting so many options of land. Okay, so to which one it would match. So so this is pretty much about the so this is about the single object. Like we are getting so many responses, and we have abstracted out the ones, like we have generalized that, yeah, see, of this kind of objects we'll be getting from objects and responses we'll be getting from the server. And in Kotlin I'll represent each of that data type by the data structure which I have named, data structure or a class which I have named Mars property. Yeah, so this is about it. Okay, so this is how we'll be matching the parameters, and this is very easy. You will read it and you will be able to follow along. Cool. So you can do it on your own. Like this is there. Here we don't have anything quite so difficult that you will find difficult to understand. You'll be able to do it itself. Okay, so if you have any doubt, you can ask, or I'll close this session now. If you have any doubt, or anyone wants to say anything, here are the resources, and we have wrapped up. So we'll be sending you the slides which you use in our initial sessions, and when you complete this, the second track, okay, what the second track, yeah, when you complete the second track, Chrome to yeah. When you complete the second track, so let me know, yeah, when you complete this prior programming experience. So if you complete it, finish it, okay, like what do I mean by finish it? It means that I mean by earning all badges. Like if you earn 5 plus 5 10 badges, then let us know. So then we'll be giving you certificate this. Okay, here you would be your name, and it would either be signed by me or somewhere there, yeah. And here you'll be having DSC logo. I have it. This is a template which I have in a drive. The real template, the real certificate is in my laptop. I don't think I need to show it to you. Okay, so if when you finish it, then let me know. Let me or anyone from DSC know. We'll give you certificate. Okay, this is an official certificate, like you can see and that logo here. Yeah. So this was I wanted to tell you about studyjam. If you have any questions, you can ask, or we can close it. I'll stop sharing now.
See, we all encourage you to go through all these slides, okay, all the code labs, okay, and they are extremely easy to follow. And by you going through the code labs, you can learn a lot of things, you know. So if you have any doubt, please ask.
Okay, thanks. So the session is over. I'm stopping the recording now, and you can leave.